Welcome back to the deep dive. We are really glad you're here with us because today, we are heading straight into the desert heat.
Oh, yeah. We're going back to Albuquerque.
Exactly, Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're stripping down the engine of what is arguably one of the most intense, claustrophobic, and just psychologically complex dramas in the history of television. We are talking about Breaking Bad.
It's always a good day when we get to analyze the downfall of Walter White.
Always.
And specifically today, we are cracking open the 12th episode of the 5th and final season. The episode is titled Rabid Dog.
Rabid Dog. I mean, it's a title that just sits there and growls at you, doesn't it?
Really does.
It immediately evokes this visceral sense of danger. You hear that title and you think of something unpredictable,
Yeah.
something sick, something that was maybe once a loyal companion but has just completely turned violent.
Precisely. And frankly, it is the perfect metaphor for where we find ourselves in this specific narrative arc. We are in the endgame now.
The final 8 episodes.
Right. And Rabid Dog is really where the psychological warfare just completely takes over the narrative.
So for you, the learner listening today, if you think you remember this episode, you might remember the big visual moments.
The gasoline can.
Yeah, the gasoline can, the plaza scene. But we are going to do what we do best here. We are going to unpack the machinery underneath all of that. We're looking at the lies, the shifting alliances, and, frankly, the moment where characters we thought we knew push past their moral points of no return.
It is a pivotal bridge episode. If we look at the source material we have today,
Which is pretty extensive.
very extensive. It includes a detailed plot breakdown, production notes, reception data, and looking at all that, this episode is really the setup for the final catastrophe. It is where the chess pieces are moved into their final fatal positions.
Right. And our mission today is to figure out exactly how that happens. We want to understand the transformation of the alliances. Who is loyal to whom? And more importantly, who is willing to kill whom?
Because the answers to those questions in Rabid Dog are actually quite surprising compared to where we started the series.
Absolutely. It is an episode defined by paranoia. Everyone is looking over their shoulder. The walls are closing in on Walter White, but they are also closing in on everyone else.
Nobody is safe.
So let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into the deep end. We need to talk about the smell of gasoline. This is segment 1, the aftermath of the gasoline.
Let's set the scene.
We really have to recall the cliffhanger from the previous episode, which was confessions. Jesse Pinkman has finally put the pieces together.
He realizes that Walt poisoned Brock.
Yes, he is completely unraveled. I mean, he breaks into Walter White's house, kicks the door in, and he is just furious. He douses the entire living room in gasoline, and the source material really emphasizes just how soaked the place is.
It's a visceral image. Think about what that house represents.
Right.
For 5 seasons, that house with the pool and the beige carpet has been Walt's sanctuary.
His anchor.
Exactly. It was the one place he tried to keep entirely separate from his life as Heisenberg. So, Jesse pouring gasoline all over it represents the total destruction of that barrier between Walt's criminal life and his domestic life.
It is the invasion of the chaos into the mundane.
Perfectly said.
So, Rabid Dog opens, and Walt arrives. He pulls up to the house, and you can see the tension in his body language.
He knows something is wrong.
He is cautious. He enters with his gun drawn. He is clearing corners like he is in a tactical shooter or something. He is searching for Jesse. But here's the thing.
Jesse is gone.
Jesse is gone. The house is empty, but the evidence of the rage is everywhere. The fumes must be overpowering. But Walt notices something specific outside before he even goes in.
He finds Saul Goodman's car crashed in the driveway.
Yeah. And inside the car, he finds a CD case with white powder on it.
And this leads Walt to a very specific and, I think, fascinating conclusion.
He sees the powder, he sees the crash, and he assumes Jesse is high on meth.
It is a logical leap for Walt, but it is also a massive psychological defense mechanism.
How so?
Well, think about it. If Jesse is just high, if he is just relapsing, then this is a problem Walt can solve.
Oh, I see.
I mean, Jesse's just being a junkie. It allows Walt to frame Jesse's behavior as a drug-induced psychosis rather than a righteous reaction to Walt's own horrible actions. He doesn't want to admit it's about Brock.
That is such a great point. It is Walt compartmentalizing again.
Always.
He absolutely refuses to believe that he has been outsmarted or that his secrets are out. He would rather believe Jesse is an addict on a bender than believe Jesse is an enemy who actually knows the truth.
Exactly. It minimizes Jesse's agency completely.
So the house is a total disaster. It reeks of gasoline. What does Walter White, the master problem solver, do?
He tries to fix it.
He tries to fix it. He calls a cleaning crew.
This is such a classic Walter White move. He genuinely believes everything is a technical problem with a technical solution.
Right, like chemistry.
Exactly like chemistry. If there's a mess, you clean it. If there is a body, you dissolve it in acid. If there is gasoline all over your carpet, you scrub it. He literally sits by the pool watching them work, thinking he could just erase this event.
But this time, the science fails him.
It does. The cleaning crew comes out and tells him they can't get the smell out. They say the gasoline is soaked into the subflooring. It is in the fibers. It is in the wood. And I think there is a heavy symbolic weight to this moment that you just can't overlook.
Walk us through that. Is it about the permanence of his actions?
Precisely. You can't just scrub away the sins of the past anymore. The stench of what Walt has done is now permanent. It has permeated the very foundation of his home.
It's deep in the floorboards.
Right. No amount of scrubbing, no amount of chemicals is going to make the White residence a normal suburban home again. The damage is done. The rot is in the foundation.
That is a really chilling thought when you put it like that. The foundation is ruined. So the cleaning fails. Walt has a smelly house and a family, Skyler and Junior, who are coming home soon.
He needs a story.
He needs a story. He needs a lie. And this is where it gets really interesting for me. The fabrication of this lie.
Walt's commitment to the lie here is truly something to behold. It is borderline psychotic.
It really is. He decides to cover his tracks by dousing his own clothing and his car seats with gasoline.
He takes a gas can and literally soaks his pants, his shirt, the upholstery of his car.
I mean, think about the desperation required to do that. If you've ever gotten gasoline on your hands, you know it burns the skin. The fumes make you dizzy.
It's toxic.
Highly toxic. To voluntarily cover yourself in a flammable, toxic substance just to sell a narrative, it shows exactly how cornered he is. He has to physically become the toxicity to explain the toxicity.
And the narrative he comes up with is, well, it's questionable at best.
Yeah, he concocts this story about a pump malfunction at a gas station. He tells them he was pumping gas and the nozzle failed and it sprayed gasoline all over him, and then he accidentally tracked it onto the floor when he walked in.
The infamous pump malfunction lie. It's detailed, it's physical, but it's also frantic.
It feels like the lie of a man who is running out of good lies.
Exactly.
So he is soaking wet with gasoline, the house smells like an oil refinery, and the family pulls into the driveway. Let's move to segment 2, which covers the family dynamics and the suspicion, because he has to sell this insane story to Skyler and Walter Jr.
And the reaction is split between the two of them, which is fascinating because it really highlights the tragedy of Walter Jr.
Walter Jr. buys it immediately.
He does. But he doesn't just buy the pump malfunction story. He adds his own interpretation to it.
Right. He looks at his dad, who is soaked in gas, sort of stumbling around, and he thinks, Walt fainted again.
He attributes the clumsiness or the accident to his father's cancer returning.
It breaks your heart, doesn't it?
It really does. Junior is still operating in a world where his father is a victim. He sees a sick man who had an unfortunate accident.
He protects his father with his own concern.
Exactly. He is perhaps the only person left in the entire show who still sees Walter White as a good man.
But Skyler is not having it.
Not for a single second. Skyler White has lived through way too many of Walt's fugue states and elaborate excuses. She smells the gasoline, but she senses the real danger underneath it.
She suspects something more sinister is at play almost immediately.
The source material notes that she is visibly doubtful. She knows this wasn't a pump malfunction. She knows this is related to the business.
And because of the smell in Walt's lie, the family is displaced. They have to move into a hotel while the flooring and carpet are replaced.
Again, we see this physical displacement mirroring the psychological instability of the characters.
Yeah, refugees from their own home.
Right, because of Walt's actions. They're sleeping in a beige hotel room, living out of suitcases, because Walt's world has literally poisoned their living space. The kingpin is essentially homeless.
So while they're at the hotel, Walt sneaks away. He goes down to the parking lot to meet with Saul Goodman and Patrick Kuby. This is basically the war room.
This parking lot meeting is crucial for the strategic element of the episode. They are trying to find Jesse, but Jesse is in the wind. No one knows where he is.
And Saul is a pragmatist. He looks at the board, he sees the pieces, and he makes a suggestion.
He does. Saul looks at the situation. Jesse is acting erratic. He knows way too much. He literally just tried to burn down Walt's house, and Saul drops a hint.
He suggests an Old Yeller situation.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, for you listening, if you don't know the reference, Old Yeller is a classic story about a loyal dog that gets rabies and ultimately has to be put down by its owner for the safety of the family. Saul is directly implying that Jesse is a rabid dog.
Exactly. He is suggesting a permanent solution. Killing Jesse.
Saul is basically saying, look, I like the kid too, but he's a massive liability. He's sick. Put him out of his misery.
But you have to note Walt's reaction here. This is incredibly important for his character.
Walt refuses.
He explicitly rejects the idea. He shuts Saul down aggressively. He says something to the effect of, do not float that idea again.
This is so significant to me. Despite everything, despite the massive threat Jesse poses, despite the gasoline in his house, despite the fact that Jesse knows enough to send Walt to a federal prison for the rest of his life, Walt still holds on to this paternal affection for Jesse.
He refuses to cross that specific line.
He still thinks he can handle Jesse, that he can just talk him down like he always does.
It's pure hubris, but it's also love. It's a twisted, deeply toxic love, but it is love nonetheless. He still fundamentally thinks he is the teacher, and Jesse is the student.
Which brings us directly to segment 3, the hotel confrontation. Because while Walt is down there defending Jesse to Saul, Skyler is watching from the window upstairs.
She sees Walt with Saul in the parking lot. She sees the intensity of the conversation. She knows the pump malfunction was a complete lie. And when Walt comes back up to the room, she confronts him.
She backs him into a corner. She demands the truth. And Walt, surprisingly, confesses.
Well, a version of the truth.
Right, a version of it. He admits Jesse is upset. He admits Jesse was the one who tried to burn the house down.
But watch how he frames it. He tries to downplay it entirely. He says, it's fine. He ultimately decided against lighting the match.
Like that makes it okay.
Exactly. He changed his mind. It was just a moment. Walt is desperately trying to minimize the threat to keep Skyler calm.
But it backfires completely.
It backfires spectacularly. Skyler doesn't hear he changed his mind. What she hears is, someone poured gasoline in our living room and almost burned our house down while our children could have been there.
And this is the moment, this is the shift that truly defines the episode for me. Skyler White, the woman who spent seasons trying to get Walt out of the business, trying to protect her family from the violence of this world, she looks at Walt and demands he kill Jesse.
It is a shocking demand.
Yeah.
And it marks a complete role reversal for these two.
Let's really unpack that, because usually Walt is the one justifying the means, right? And Skyler is the moral anchor.
Exactly. For seasons upon seasons, Walt has been the one justifying violence as somehow necessary for business or for their survival, while Skyler was the one horrified by it all. Now, we have Walt hesitating. He is refusing to kill Jesse because of their emotional bond. And we have Skyler acting as the absolute pragmatist, looking at the situation completely coldly. She views Jesse as a direct physical threat to her children and her safety.
She basically asks him, we've come this far, we've done all this, what's one more?
It's chilling. What's one more?
She has become exactly what Walt made her. She sees a threat and she wants it neutralized. No half measures.
She is arguing from a place of pure, primal survival instinct. If this person tried to burn our house down, why is he still breathing?
It forces you to realize just how far Skyler has fallen, or perhaps how much she has adapted to the cold logic of the drug trade.
In this specific moment, she is more Heisenberg than Walt is.
That is a brilliant way to put it. So we have Walt trying to find Jesse just to talk, and we have Saul and Skyler wanting Jesse dead. But where is Jesse? That takes us to segment 4, the flashback.
The episode uses a really effective structural break right here. We stop the forward momentum of the hotel, and we rewind the timeline to show us what actually happened back at the house.
Yeah.
We finally get to see the missing piece.
We see Jesse, lighter in his hand, gasoline everywhere. He is screaming. He is right on the edge, about to torch the place. And then
Hank Schrader walks in.
Hank had been trailing Jesse. Remember, Jesse had just physically assaulted Saul at his office, so Hank followed him from there. Hank enters the house. He smells the gasoline. He sees the lighter.
It's an incredibly tense intervention.
You have a federal agent and a guy holding a lighter in a gas-soaked room. One tiny spark, and they both die.
And Hank de-escalates it masterfully. But he doesn't just arrest Jesse. He doesn't tackle him to the ground. He talks him down.
Right.
He connects with him on a human level. He essentially says, you want to burn him down? Let's do it together. Let's do it properly.
And they form this new, highly unlikely alliance. Hank convinces Jesse that burning the house down is small potatoes. It's just arson. It doesn't hurt Walt where it counts. He offers Jesse a way to really destroy Heisenberg.
And the timing of this entire sequence is incredible. They leave mere moments before Walt pulls up to the house.
That explains why the house was empty when Walt arrived in that opening scene.
They missed each other by seconds. Creates this great sliding doors moment.
If Walt had arrived just 30 seconds earlier, the whole show ends differently. There's a shootout or an arrest right there in the living room.
Exactly.
So Hank takes Jesse, but where does he take him? To the DEA station. To a holding cell.
No. And this is another major sign of Hank breaking protocol. He takes Jesse to his own home. To Marie.
Now, Marie is already on edge. The source material points out that we see her in a therapy session.
Yes. There's a critical scene where Marie is in therapy. She is venting about her issues with Walt, but she's totally trapped. She refuses to disclose the full criminality to the therapist because she's still protecting Hank's career and the broader family secret.
She is just seething with this unexpressed rage. She's actually fantasizing about poisoning Walt.
So when Hank brings Jesse, the junkie partner of the man she violently hates, into her clean, safe home, you would expect her to absolutely flip out.
You'd expect her to say, "Get him out of here immediately."
Initially, she's hesitant, but Hank frames it brilliantly. He tells her that keeping Jesse there is bad for Walt.
And that's all she needs to hear.
That is the magic password. As soon as she knows that harboring Jesse will actively hurt Walter White, she is completely on board. She agrees to let him stay. She even brings him coffee.
It shows that Marie, much like Skyler, is now motivated primarily by animosity toward Walt. The hatred for Walt is the glue holding everyone together right now.
It really is.
So Jesse wakes up at the Schrader house, and they get to work. The confession.
Hank and his partner, Steve Gomez, set up a video camera right there in the living room. They tape Jesse as he recounts his entire history with Walt.
I mean, this must have been a massively long tape.
It covers everything. The cooking in the RV, Tuco Salamanca, Gus Fring, the train heist, the tragic death of the boy on the dirt bike.
It is the comprehensive history of Heisenberg. It is the truth, finally out in the open.
But there is a huge problem. Hank watches the tape, and he isn't celebrating.
Because it's all he said, she said.
Exactly. There is zero physical evidence. Walt has officially retired. He has left the business. The money is buried in the desert.
Hank listens to this incredible confession and realizes it's just not enough.
A jury might look at Jesse and see just a junkie making up wild stories to get a plea deal. Hank knows he needs something concrete. He needs something that sticks in court.
He needs Walt to incriminate himself on the record. He needs a trap. Which leads us to segment 5, the sting operation.
The opportunity presents itself through a voicemail.
Walt leaves a message for Jesse on his burner phone. And he sounds just like a concerned father figure. He asks to meet Jesse in a public plaza. He says he wants to reconcile. And he specifically mentions he wants to explain the poisoning of Brock Cantillo.
Which is the very thing that set Jesse off in the first place. Walt is trying to manipulate Jesse back into the fold by offering him the one answer he is desperate for.
It is a classic manipulation tactic.
Textbook.
So Hank hears this and comes up with a plan. He wants Jesse to accept the meeting.
He wants Jesse wired for sound. He wants to record the conversation live. If he can get Walt to admit to the poisoning or the meth cooking or even just obstructing justice, he has him dead to rights.
But Jesse is terrified. He is literally shaking.
And rightfully so. Jesse knows Walt better than anyone else alive. He tells Hank, "Mr. White is the devil. He is smarter than you. He's luckier than you."
That line, "he is luckier than you," is so incredibly powerful. Jesse knows that Walt somehow always wiggles out of the trap. Jesse is totally convinced that if he goes to that meeting, Walt will have him killed.
And Hank, how does he reassure him?
He uses logic.
Yeah.
He reminds Jesse of all the times Walt stuck his neck out for him at his own expense. He argues that a public place, a busy plaza in broad daylight, is safe. He won't try anything with witnesses around.
But then we get to the moment that gives the episode its title, the rabid dog metaphor from Hank's perspective. This is the scene that really changes how I look at Hank Schrader.
It is the darkest moment for Hank's character in the whole series, I think.
He steps aside to have a private conversation with Gomez. Gomez is genuinely worried about Jesse's safety. He asks Hank, what if Walt actually kills him?
And Hank says...
Hank reveals that he is completely indifferent to whether Jesse lives or dies.
He essentially says that if Walt kills Jesse on camera, well, that's still valid evidence on tape.
It solves their problem. He says something like, "We get it all on film."
Wow. That is just so cold.
To Hank, Jesse is just a tool. He is a rabid dog. If the dog gets put down, it's sad. but it serves the greater good of catching the monster. Hank has lost his moral compass here. He is willing to sacrifice a human life and informant working directly for him just to win the game.
It really blurs the lines. We usually think of Hank as the white hat, the good guy, but here, he is calculating and cold. He is acting a lot like Walt.
It shows that Walt's corruption spreads to everyone who touches him. In his obsessive pursuit of Walt, Hank has had to shed his own humanity. He has become completely ruthless.
So the trap is set. Let's look at segment 6, the plaza and the payphone.
Jesse is wired up. He walks toward the plaza. Hank and Gomez are watching from a surveillance van parked nearby. The tension is just incredibly high.
The source material notes the cinematography here is bright, washed out, making the shadows feel even deeper.
Yes. Jesse scans the area. He is incredibly paranoid. And he sees something.
He spots a pedestrian standing near a bench. Just a guy.
A regular guy waiting for someone.
Yep.
But in Jesse's heightened state of fear, he mistakes this random person for a hitman.
He thinks Walt has hired a pro to take him out right there in the plaza.
It's a tragic misunderstanding. The source material implies this was just a mistake on Jesse's part.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no indication in the text that Walt actually had a hitman there. Walt truly wanted to talk. He was sitting on that bench alone. But Jesse's trust is so broken, he cannot believe that. He sees a deadly threat where there is absolutely none.
So Jesse panics. He backs down. He refuses to go through with the meeting. He turns around and just walks away.
And then he goes to a payphone.
He calls Walt directly.
Walt is still sitting on the bench in the plaza, waiting, looking confused. And he answers the phone.
And Jesse delivers a threat.
Yeah.
He tells Walt, "Nice try," and then he says, "I'm coming for you." But he clarifies it. He says he's going to get him where he really lives.
Where he really lives. That is such an ominous phrase. What does that mean to you, looking at the analysis?
It implies he isn't going to attack him physically in a plaza. He isn't going to just burn his house down. He is going to attack what truly matters to him. His money, his family, his legacy. It strikes total fear into Walt because it is so vague, and it targets his ultimate vulnerabilities.
Walt is just left holding the phone. The reconciliation completely failed. The bridge is burned.
Meanwhile, back in the surveillance van, Hank is furious. He picks Jesse up and berates him for blowing the plan. "We had him. Why did you walk away?"
But Jesse is calm now.
That is the major shift. Jesse isn't panicking anymore. He looks at Hank and says he has a better strategy in mind. The text doesn't reveal what it is yet, but the confidence is back.
Jesse has stopped reacting to Walt and has finally started planning against him. He has taken back his agency.
And while Jesse is planning, Walt is reacting. Which brings us to segment 7, the final move.
This is the end of the episode. Walt is sitting in his car. He realizes he can no longer talk Jesse down. The threat on the phone was the final straw.
Skyler was right. Saul was right. The dog is rabid.
So what does he do?
He makes a call. He calls Todd Alquist.
Todd! The scary, unfailingly polite sociopath who works for his uncle's gang.
Walt requests another job from Todd's uncle, Jack. Jack leads the white supremacist gang we've seen operate before.
And the target of this job.
The implication is perfectly clear. The hit is on Jesse.
He actually crossed the line.
He did. Think about the massive arc of this episode. It started with Walt soaking himself in gasoline just to hide a lie, desperately protecting Jesse from Saul's suggestion of murder, literally fighting with Skyler to keep Jesse alive.
Right.
And it ends with Walt authorizing that very murder. He has finally accepted that the Rabid Dog must be put down.
That is a profoundly tragic arc for a single hour of television. It is the absolute death of the father-son dynamic that drove so much of the whole show. Walt has finally chosen his own self-preservation over Jesse.
And in doing so, he has sealed his own fate.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, let's look at the reception and production notes, segment 8.
Right. Rabid Dog was written and directed by Sam Callan. The cinematography was by Michael Slovis, and editing by Skip McDonald.
These are the heavy hitters, the veterans of the show.
They know these characters inside and out.
And what about the numbers? How did the viewing world react?
Viewership was at 4.41 million viewers. Interestingly, that was actually a decrease from the previous episode Confessions, which had pulled in 4.85 million.
A little dip. I wonder if maybe people were just catching their breath after the sheer intensity of the confession tape in the last episode.
Or it could just be the natural fluctuation of live TV ratings back in 2013. But critically, it holds a really interesting spot. The Ringer ranked Rabid Dog 38th out of all 62 Breaking Bad episodes in their big 2019 ranking.
38th. So that's firmly in the middle of the pack.
Which makes perfect sense when you think about it. It isn't a flashy episode.
Right.
It doesn't have a massive train heist. It doesn't have a giant explosion. It's a bridge episode. It's the setup. It does all the necessary heavy lifting to get the characters exactly where they need to be for the finale.
It moves the pieces on the board.
Exactly. Without Rabid Dog, the finale simply doesn't happen. You need this profound psychological shift. Skyler breaking bad, Hank losing his morals, Walt finally giving up on Jesse to set up the end.
So let's head to our outro. What does this all really mean for you, the learner?
We've seen the total collapse of loyalty here. We have seen that fear makes monsters of absolutely everyone. Skyler broke bad by demanding a hit. Hank lost his moral high ground by treating Jesse as disposable bait.
And Walt finally gave up on the one person he truly tried to save from the very beginning.
It brings us back to that provocative thought about the title itself. Who is the Rabid Dog?
That is the question we really want you to sit with today. Is it Jesse? I mean, he is the one running around pouring gasoline, acting erratically, threatening people. That certainly fits the literal definition.
But look at Walt. He is cornered, lashing out, foaming at the mouth with desperate lies, literally soaking himself in gas.
Or look at Hank. He is obsessively chasing a car, completely regardless of the collateral damage. He doesn't care who gets bit as long as he catches his prey.
Maybe they have all gone rabid. Maybe the infection has just spread to everyone.
That is a very distinct and terrifying possibility.
Yeah.
In the world of Breaking Bad, eventually everyone gets bit. And once you are bit, there is no cure.
A cheerful thought to end on.
But a necessary one. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Rabid Dog. It's a heavy, heavy episode, but man, is it incredibly well crafted.
Absolutely. It is a total masterclass in tension and character evolution.
We will see you next time for more analysis. Until then, stay safe and maybe double check your subflooring for gasoline.
Goodbye, everyone.
Take care.